Thank you, Gordon. I'm a little disheveled here. I apologize. The next speaker is Jeff Turner. Hi, Jeff. Hi.
Thank you. Aloha, everyone. I'm here, with your permission, to tell you a little bit about the Green Party of the United States. I'm the treasurer of GPUS, and I spend about 20-30 hours a week on email and in some conference calls. And we're a little cautious about being too aggressive at Occupy. It started as very apolitical in New York, and slowly sounds like it's being accepting of learning about some political solutions. So I'd like to read you the top 10 reasons to go green. I'm at the third table on the right. In the middle, I have petitions to keep the Green Party on the ballot in the state of Hawaii. If everybody here that's a registered voter would come sign the petition on the break, I'd have about half of the rest of what we need to be on the ballot for the next 10 years. There are people on Islands working on this, and we're just about there. So, top 10 reasons to go green. The Green Party takes no monetary contributions from corporations. That's the cornerstone of freedom and democracy. The Green Party strongly opposed President Bush's invasion of Iraq, while Democrats lined up to support it. The Green Party demands an end to U.S. dependence on oil, coal, and nuclear power. The Green Party calls for national health insurance. The Green Party supports living wages for every working American and strong democratic unions. The Green Party calls for a halt to war on drugs and thousands of drug laws. The Green Party says that corporations have no right to take people's homes. The Green Party helps community leaders to run for political office, and that's where we get some power and get to solve some problems we have. While Democrats remain silent, Greens challenged vote manipulation in Ohio and New Mexico on Election Day in 2004, or else we might have had a different president then. The Green Party is dedicated to power the people to control their own lives. I have some copies of this. I have some copies of our platform. You can go to gp.org, and there are pages and pages and pages of information about the Green Party. One interesting fact you may not know, especially if you haven't been here for 20 years, in 1992, Keiko Bonk was elected to the county council from Ka'u, was the first contested partisan Green win in the country. And since then, she and then Bob Jacobson and Julie Jacobson held that seat for 10 out of the 12 years running, and that's the longest running Green dynasty in the country. So this island is a bright spot in the Green project to move forward.
Thank you, Jeff. Our next speaker is Randall Rupar. Hey there, I know you. Well, first off, I want to really thank Herman for just give him a round of applause. Thank you. And hey, Jeff, you're awesome. Go green. And what's interesting is that we've got the 99% and the 1%. Yeah, and a lot of people really believe that money's evil. Okay, but money's green. No one is green. Plants are green, and we want to go green. So I was just, I followed this on the internet maybe much too often, and go on YouTube and all of those things, and I look and see what everybody else is saying, including Michael Moore and all of the people who make a difference. And one of my real idols is Deepak Chopra. I'm sure you know who he is, yeah? Well, he just did his own YouTube, which I thought was awesome, because you could see him fooling around with the camera. And he said, hey, you know what, people? He said, I pardon 1%, because I make almost $500,000 a year. But I want to tell you something, that I really believe in the other 99%. And I kept on thinking about, well, I mean, what does that mean? And he said, you know what you got to do? You got to occupy yourself. You have to be the one that you've been waiting for. You have to be the one to make the choice. You have to be the one that takes this green, right? This is your vote. This is the vote. If you believe in something, if you believe in regards to organics, if you believe, I'm involved with a lot of what I call the local agriculture. Agriculture. Not agribusiness. Agriculture. Culture exists around our ability to grow and to consume healthy foods. Let's do that. Support your farmers markets. Buy local. And as Jeff was saying, you know, this island, Big Island, we are the ark for the world. This island, the whole world can look at, and we can be an example of what we believe in. So let's do it. Let's all really give ourselves that initiative and that power, because we are the powerful ones. No one can really make us do anything that we do not want to do. Give yourself that ability to do this. Give yourself the ability to turn to another person and say, hey, I need some help. Or, hey, can I help you? Whoa, what a concept. Can I help you? Wow, interesting. So, hey, thank you all, and we're one. Aloha.
Wow, that was fantastic. That was very inspirational, man. Thank you. Let's have another hand for Randall on that, huh? And I didn't realize the mic went that loud. Okay. The next person up would be Steven Sekala. Let's have a hand, please. This is great, huh? I think this is the first time since I've been in Hawaii 20 years, I don't remember ever sitting down with people talking directly about our own survival like we are now. Here you go, Steve.
I'd like to also thank Herman and everybody that helped put today on. So another Herman for this folks. A little bit more around education. If any of you haven't seen Inside Job, it was the Academy Award-winning documentary last year. Excellent as far as the information we saw today. Thank you, Sandra. But also it goes a little bit more into detail about how the regulations have been changed. So if you get a chance, check that out. The reason I decided to come up today is I am a proponent, maybe a little bit more radical than some, of continuing direct action to change the system. The system still exists. I think it still needs to have tweaks to it, obviously, if not completely crumble. So I think that everything on your list that you have there to vote for is a solutionary step. And I think that the solutionary steps are the way that we need to go and we need to focus on. But I'm also a proponent of the two-pronged approach. I think we need to keep the pressure on the corporations and on the politicians. So I'm volunteering to head up a direct action group for any of you that might be interested. And that would be to come up collectively in a consensus manner of what we might like to do to keep that pressure on the corporations and politicians. The last thing I want to say is that I'd like to offer a caution around perpetual growth. Some of the solutions that I see being put up here are around adding jobs and growing the economy. I think that we've hit the wall. I think that we need to get past the idea of perpetual growth as a way to entertain wealth. We're at 7 billion people, and the resources are dwindling. So I think that anything we think about as far as solutions need to be based on a sustainable economy, a local economy. I'd like to echo the words that Randall said. It really does have to stay local. It has to be sustainable. Hawaii has the chance to be the model. We're here together, and we're creating that model right now. So thank you for all being here.
Thank you, Stephen. Stephen, you have a farm, right, in South Kona, Honana Farm?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know he's putting his money where his mouth is. He's got a great sustainable organic farm, and I know we can talk about that more at length. The next person on the list is Betsy Morgan. Can you come on up, Betsy? We have a hand for her, please. See, the trick is we have flaws till they get up here, and then they don't. Here you go, Betsy.
Hi, it's good to see you all. I'd like to tell you about the word underemployed. We all know what unemployed is. Can you hear me okay? No. All right, fine. Underemployed. I have a friend who's a hard-working guy. He's worked all his life. He works in Kona here, makes a little over minimum wage. He's dedicated, reliable, hard worker. You know what? Next month he's moving into his van because he can't afford housing anymore. He can't live on what he makes, and he wants to work. He is working 40 hours a week, but he's moving into his van. So I'm here to say that people who work in America need to make that work, and it doesn't yet. And I also want to tell you about the other protest movements I've been involved in, what I've missed, and why I'm here. I wouldn't miss this today for anything. Well, back in 1962, I protested against segregation of black and whites in the South, and we won. We won civil rights. But I missed Martin Luther King's speech in Washington, D.C., the March in Washington. I wouldn't miss this today, because this is the beginning. And in 1964, I protested and marched against the Vietnam War. We stopped that war, didn't we? Right. But I missed the big demonstration at the Lincoln Memorial. I wouldn't miss this today. And in 1970, I began a hippie commune. We didn't call them sustainable farms or sustainable agriculture then, but that's what it was. But I didn't go to Woodstock. I missed that, but I wouldn't miss this today. Anyways, here we are, and what I stand for is making working in America work for Americans. That's what I have to say, and I'm glad to be here today.
Thank you. Okay, our next speaker up is Joe Castle. Do we have a Joe Castle? Here it is. Let's have a hand for Joe, please. Joe is another dedicated demonstrator. He's out on the road every Monday. Thank you.
Hey folks, so I didn't miss Woodstock. I did the whole civil rights strike for desegregating our schools and protested the war. I was lucky during a draft. It was an election year, so my number was 5 shy of being drafted. I was out of the country, wasn't going to come back. Anyway, I have a preference for some of the amorphous roots of this Occupy movement, and to me, it's phenomenal. I always kind of felt like a fish out of water. I was way too political for all the Oming crowd in my generation, and I was way too spiritual for the Maoists. I just kind of didn't fit in a lot of those things, and this one's pulling a lot of people together that are really not into the whole Maoist thing, and we see where that got them, didn't it? Anyway, so we have to create our own alternative, which I think is what we've been doing for a long time. Those of us who have roots that deep have, in a lot of ways, whether it's the solar panels or growing our own food or raising our children not in the public school system, actually trying to teach them how to think, other minor details like that. So I think we've got a great start. And seeing this coming together, I'm as enthusiastic as anyone. I want to get to my one direct action plan. I can't remember whether it was Milwaukee or Detroit or Chicago or something, but some desperate single woman who was about to get evicted contacted the local Occupy people, and probably someone here knows where that was, but they moved in, and they moved into her yard, and they moved into her house. And when the sheriff came to evict her, that wasn't going to happen. And I would like to create a phone tree. I'm probably one of the last people here who doesn't have a cell phone, so I'm not sure how I'm going to fit into this loop. But if we had a phone tree, and maybe someone with better organizational skills than I, when people are facing eviction, if we could publicize the first 3 numbers and get the word out, and when the sheriff comes, they just got to stall and hit those numbers. And I'm a doctor, I will walk out of my office, I don't care, and I will put my body on the line, and I've never understood how we can let our neighbors be evicted. And that's my idea of a direct action. Let's stop it. And by the way, that woman, the bank contacted her the next day and renegotiated. And just to bring it home, and I don't want to be too specific because this is a small area and I don't want to disclose anyone's privacy, but I was talking to someone that I knew who built his own home. He was looking to shorts, and I had seen him a few years ago, and I said, well, last time I saw you building your house, so he's in the same position as a lot of people. He was looking to short sell it. And the one consolation when you face something like that is at least you can look at the folks who are going to get into that home, and you have some sense of continuity, and okay, well, at least good people are getting into that home that I built. And every single time that he got one of those bids, it was outbid by the bank who is continuing the foreclosure process. So that's what we're facing, and I'm willing to go to jail. I think if we could get 20 people online every time, we'd max out the Kona holding facility, and they'd have to start hauling us to Hilo. I think we get some press coverage, and I think some banks might start renegotiating. And I guess I get cut short a little bit because I don't get to use profanity. I did hear that. Anyway, it does bring me to that. I'm drawn to tears, and I'm drawn when I listen to Makana's song, and I'm drawn to profanity when I think about the banks and the corporations. So I tried to pull together a list of issues that I think are important. And along this direct action thing, what I was thinking is that I would like us to get the word out by whatever media we can, that we would like to be a focal point for local issues, and we can then vote in our General Assembly whether we want to take it on as a group. And I would have to say that if we as a group don't want to take it on, it could still focus on energy for minorities that want to take it on to support. I really, I'm in the crowd here. I feel that I am a guest in a host culture, and I think that we need to do outreach to support that host culture. And I think that needs to be one of our foundational issues, is that we support the rights of indigenous people. We need to act locally. But I just saw a thing, Italians, it was about an Italian movement, I saw it on Al Jazeera, an Italian movement to boycott Israel in support of the people in Palestine. I support indigenous peoples everywhere. And I want to support this woman's talking about Adam, and people who know me know I've been working, doing acupuncture for chemical dependency in public health for 20-something years, and I don't smoke weed, and one of the reasons I don't is when I get pulled over, they're going to have to work harder to nail me down and to jerk me around than to be vulnerable and under their thumb. But we do need to end the war on drugs. I really think that's a major issue. We need to stop imprisoning people. We imprison more people than anywhere. And I think we need to have much stronger issues than you can't lobby for 5 years. We need to draw a very clear line between corporations and enforcement of social justice issues, which, if there's any purpose of government, to me, it is enforcement of social and environmental justice issues. Personally, I really don't think there's any other purpose to government. I think we need to, I think we do have some common ground. I hope I don't drive anyone crazy here. I think, when I listen to some of these crazy guys on the right, it's like, yes, 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 I agree with everything they say, and then they get to the big lie, they say, oh, it's the socialists that are doing this. Excuse me, no, it's not. It is the fascist state capitalists who are doing it, but that's another story. But I think we do have common ground with some people who kind of bought that last little bit, because you go down the list, and we agree about a lot of stuff. We agree about human liberty. We agree about a lot of social justice issues, and I think we actually need to broach some commonalities there, because we will be an undoubtable majority if we can make some links along those lines. It's kind of wild and crazy, but let's see if I let it. Oh, and one other thing is, when we talk about the right for a social safety net, being a naturopath and acupuncturist married to a direct midwife, I have to say that when we move into that realm, understand corporation and corporate greed will usurp everything, as they did with Obama's failed plan for national. That's fascism, when we are required to support private industry for our health insurance. That's fascism. And the corporate medical establishment is probably just shy of the corporate war establishment and the corporate banking establishment for usurping that. And any social safety net that includes national health care must include freedom of choice for all modalities of health care. Thank you, folks.
Yeah, it was. It sure was, but what a 4 minutes or 8 minutes it was. Thank you, Joe. I was very inspired, and I've known this man about 8 weeks, and I don't think I've said more than 2 sentences to him, so to hear him speak that eloquently is very touching.
Sunset time.
Are we getting to sunset?
At 5:28.
Are we at 5:28? Okay, so we're going to try to go another 10 minutes, and then we'll have an intermission of about